And welcome to Europa League qualification football live on Premier Sports as Glentoran have made the short trip over the water from Belfast to Lanarkshire, where they will face Motherwell here at Fir Park. Well, Glentoran hope to bring 3,000 or 4,000 spectators. They'll have to settle for a seat on the sofa, and the home fans, dogs and all, will just have to settle for the cardboard cutouts. Some brilliant Motherwell kits from days gone by represented in the stands all around Fir Park. It's a century of games in Europe for Glentoran, so it's only right that we've got a Glentoran fan sitting next to me. He's also got a real passion for Motherwell too. Good evening to Stephen Craig and welcome along.
Indeed, Paul. I think it's going to be a cracking match. Glentoran are a club on the way up, and Motherwell a side who finished third last year in the Scottish Premiership. So, both teams have worked ever so hard to get themselves into European competition. They will want to extend their run as long as they possibly can. And I generally think this match is well even tonight. I think Motherwell potentially have the slight advantage being the home side, but Glentoran will come here tonight with no fear.
It's a century of games in Europe for Glentoran, the 100 up, which is their second consecutive one-legged tie. Motherwell, however, are seeking their first European win in just over a decade. So can Motherwell find a way to get a victory? Motherwell's recent record, well, perhaps like a collection of boy band hits, not something you wish to own or certainly broadcast. Stephen Robinson, leading them into Europe for the first time, has a chance to change all that. It's the earliest stage that Motherwell have ever entered European competition, but you enjoyed many a good European night with Motherwell, Stephen, and unfortunately the fans can't be here. This is a real chance for Motherwell to kick-start their season.
Well, it is. They've been waiting to try and get the first victory, to get them off the mark. It's been a frustrating time. I spoke to Stephen over the past couple of days. He's quite pleased with parts of their play, but ultimately, if you don't score any goals, I think they've only scored in one league match this season. He scored 2 goals here against Livingston, so there's an onus on the forward players to get some goals, but there's no doubt this Glentoran side, as I said earlier, full of optimism. The club's buoyant. They've won their first major trophy in 5 years, the Irish Cup, at the end of July, so they will generally feel they have a chance of winning here tonight.
And the good thing is we're looking at two teams that have got a few games under their belt. The last time Motherwell were in Europe, it was their first game of the season, so there's no excuse that way. Motherwell, 5 games into the season, they will be match fit. You've seen Glentoran coming down the stairs from the hospitality suites. Motherwell changing in their normal dressing room. As Marcus Kane just having a little word with his side. The teams will enter the field together. That was the hold up there. It's a great chance for Glentoran to come onto Scottish soil and find a way to win as Motherwell are led out.
Please welcome this evening's teams, Glentoran and the mighty Motherwell.
So if you look at an alphabetical list of teams in this competition, Malmo, Maribor, Milan and Motherwell. It's exalted company for the Steelmen. And they will face a Glentoran side buoyed by that cup win. The end of last season, the start of this season has merged so closely for the Glens. And Motherwell, of course, without David Turnbull, Stephen, who's gone to Celtic today, that's a big loss, but it's an opportunity for others to step in and to step up.
It absolutely is. No doubt about it. David Turnbull was a terrific servant, terrific young player, Paul, and I think he deserves his move. He's done ever so well here at Motherwell. He's had a difficult 14 months, but good to see eventually he got his move.
So no David Turnbull for Motherwell now. Celtic player, 3 changes. Also out Sherwin Seardorf and Jordan White in the loss against Hamilton. Liam Polworth is in, Chris Long is in, and there's a return too for Liam Grimshaw. Motherwell will go with a 3-5-2. Lang and Long, the players up front seeking the goals. So Glentoran, well, they've had the luxury, Mick McDermott, of naming an unchanged side from the side that won against Torshavn last week on a really horrible night in Belfast and a wet and miserable evening. A heavy pitch. It was a terrific goal that got them here. They've earned the right to face Motherwell, and it's the same starting 11. Declan Gallagher leads Motherwell. Bram van Drischer of Belgium is our referee. He's an account manager, won Europa game last term. This is first this term for the FIFA and Belgian elite referee. Well, the most recent Scotland against Northern Ireland in Europe is Celtic against Linfield in the Champions League qualifiers. Celtic succeeded then, but their season's been hit by an exit at the hands of Ferencváros last night. Scottish sides have had some poor results over the last few years. Rangers against Progress in Luxembourg, the spectre of Connacht Quay of Wales putting out Kilmarnock last season. There are plenty of warnings, Stephen, for Motherwell. They cannot take Glentoran lightly in the slightest.
No, and I don't think they will. You know, Stephen Robinson has said this week that he will give them all respect. He's prepared tonight's game as if it's a Scottish Premiership game. They've done their analysis, they've done their work. They've slightly changed the formation. I think he said he wanted to get more forward-thinking players in and around the box. So going with two centre-forwards certainly will encourage his two wing-backs, Stephen O'Donnell and Liam Grimshaw, to put the ball in the box.
So getting ready for the return of European football to Fir Park. And immediately Mark O'Hara pops the ball out on the far side. So an opportunity for Stephen O'Donnell to play wing-back on the left-hand side. The Scottish international player more than capable of adapting. And is chasing after it is Rory Donnelly, won't get there. Played away by Ricky Lamy and knocked out of play. Caelan Maron, you want that early first touch. And O'Donnell tries to set the tone. Back on to Lamy. Motherwell looking to start brightly. It's well cleared. And Declan Gallagher will come across.
And the one thing you'll get from Glentoran, Paul, is they'll be all in. They'll be fully committed. They'll be well organised. Mick McDermott's made a huge difference in coming into the football club. They've had a bit of finance to jig things around. I said it earlier, they got their first major trophy in 5 years. This football club has been based on winning domestic trophies back in Northern Ireland. It's been a tough 4 or 5 years, but the squad and the side that he's built, certainly very competitive.
Yeah, the motto of it's time to climb for last term, and climb they did all the way, as Stephen mentioned, to the Irish Cup final, which they won for the first time in 5 years. As Trevor Carson, Northern Ireland internationalist, comes from his goal onto O'Donnell. Migramana back on Fir Park surface. Gallagher closed down quickly by Donnelly. And they'll turn it back on to Trevor Carson. So good to see Trevor Carson fit, healthy, back between the sticks. Little flick on, trying to pick out Liam Polworth. A couple of players will perhaps blossom without David Turnbull there. You get the chance to play more often, and Liam Polworth's one of them.
Well, that's what you have to do. When your opportunity comes along, you have to take it. I think Liam Polworth has been the one sacrificed over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't had as many minutes as what he wanted. Well, now's the time to bring your frustration out on the pitch.
Caleb Colling launched it long, but it's good work by Callum Long. Out towards Lang. Campbell Grimshaw. Grimshaw back onto Gallagher. Three experienced players in the back three for Motherwell. They change the system, won't bother them. Keith Cowan forward. Long wanted movement, Grimshaw. Campbell rides the challenge well. Given away, McLean. Sends it long, little head flick on by Mugabe.
And Glentoran will have expected Motherwell to start strong, be dominant in possession. They will just have to keep their shape.
Long out to Grimshaw. Grimshaw, that's just going to drift away. Yeah, they'll be expecting to absorb the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the game, but you know, they've got a wily coach. He's been around and he'll have prepared them well for this, Mick McDermott.
He will, but sometimes when you go into a game expecting a team to play a certain formation and it doesn't shape up the way you wanted, it can take you 5 or 10 minutes to adjust, just to get your bearings, just for Mick to get his message on to the players about who presses and who drops off. So it's just a case of finding out and letting the players learn as they go.
It's played across by Mugabe. O'Donnell very coolly away from Maron. No way through for Lang. O'Hara can't get on the end of that. Glentoran looking to settle on the ball through Gallagher. Migramana out onto the near side, onto Kane. Such great experience, Marcus Kane. Gallagher. McDade waits for it, he's a man in form. Gallagher. And that's just going to drop off Grimshaw, so the first corner for Glentoran.
And that should certainly give the Glentoran players some confidence. They made 4 or 5 passes, they managed to work their way up the pitch. Sometimes you can be a little bit worried of how your players react to playing against a side from a bigger league. Can they adapt? So that'll certainly set the Glentoran players down.
Gal Begramana played in a couple of cup finals for Motherwell, well known to Stephen Robinson. Found himself without a club last term, played a lot of international football. Recommended to Glentoran by Stephen Robinson. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite him as O'Hara sends it out on the far side. In fact, Stephen Robinson knows so many of these Glentoran players with his work with the Irish sides.
He has indeed. You know, he's worked throughout different levels at the Irish Football Association. He's known some of the players from under 15, under 17, under 21. He knows their capabilities, he knows their strengths, and he's fully aware of them.
Paul O'Neill's at the back post if they can get it. A little bit of pushing going on. And then the flag up as well. Be an early chance for Motherwell to clear their lines. Well, Glentoran come to Scotland for the 4th time on European duty. They've yet to trouble the scorers. They will hope to change that this evening. Ricky Lamy made a good impact since he's moved from Livingston. Ever present this season. Grimshaw is the target, but he's not going to get there. Kane was quick. Pulled off now. Here's Rory Donnelly. Back onto Kane. Took a little deflection. Depends whether the referee spotted it or not. He did, and he has given the corner. That's a good call from the referee.
It's good play from Marcus Kane. It's the one thing that certainly is a plus when you play against a back 3 and 2 wing backs. Your full-back should be spare, there should be space for them to go into. That's 2 or 3 times already that Marcus Kane quite prepared to go forward. And they've got a second corner kick.
Begramana will take again. It's a high looping ball. O'Hara got the ball away. And now there's little chance for Motherwell to move things. Picked up well by Polworth. Glentoran are struggling here. Callum Lang. Long peels off, not scored this season. He's going to give that a dig. Motherwell got the shot away, but could they have made more of that?
Well, that's a good counter-attack, isn't it? All from a Glentoran corner. And suddenly the pace of Callum Lang. Chris Long eventually got a shot off. He maybe could have squared that to Alan Campbell as opposed to taking him on itself. I think that looked like a striker who's just desperate for a goal. But a let-off for Glentoran, they have to be aware of that.
Number 99 hasn't scored since the last league game, which was against Hearts back in March. Calling. Little flick on by Klukas. McDade blocked by O'Hara. A little bit of miscommunication there. Alan Campbell in the midfield just over-hitting.
I think you can see that Motherwell are a side who are wrestling for some confidence. They're looking for a goal to try and inspire them. It's been a tough start to the season after winning so many games last year. And this was the one they looked at and thought, can we turn it around tonight? But Glentoran, being the underdogs, no doubt about it, have started very well.
A 50th appearance in this competition and all its guises. The FA Cup, the Intercities, and now the Europa League. 5 wins out of 49. It could be a big night if they can find a way past Motherwell. Little nudge there. And the referee has given the free kick. Kane was caught just a little bit late by Long.
And I don't think there's any doubt that Mick McDermott will have been sent to his Glentoran players. Motherwell a little bit vulnerable. Sometimes when you're lacking in confidence, players can go into their shell. They can't bring the best out in themselves. He'll be wanting his players to try and punish that tonight.
Long by McLean. Lucas tried to find it. O'Neill is out wide. O'Donnell will rescue it, and Lammy, that's some challenge. And the referee comes across. Well, Lucas went in there. And I know, Irish football, a bit like Scottish football, is very competitive. You expect tackles.
I'm afraid you just can't go with this kind of pace in European football. I mean, that is shown as studs. It's certainly reckless. And that's what the yellow card is coming for. I certainly know from the past experience, Shannon Cluck is a very committed player, but the referees in European football don't look kindly upon tackles like that, unfortunately. And it's quite clearly a yellow card. He's up for the game, no doubt about it, but you've got to play within the laws of the game.
Picking up a yellow card inside 10 minutes, not ideal. Not one of the players previously booked in the last round. But Ricky Lammy is okay, and that's the main thing after that.
I think gone are the days, Paul, where winning the ball or touching the ball is enough. The referees will look at studs shown, aggression, pace at which you arrive at the tackle. And I think when you tick all those boxes, it certainly is a yellow card.
Long by Gallagher. Marin with a header. Gallagher again tried to take charge. Kane's head was down, but Callum Lang is going to be penalised. It's one of these ones strikers don't like. They feel the defender's coming in with a head down, but again, referees will err on the side of caution. Bigriamana closed down, but he's got Kane available. Kane forward too long though for Robbie McDade. And if there is a danger man for Motherwell to watch out, I mean, Robbie McDade is on a terrific run of form. I mean, in the cup alone, a goal in the quarter-final, semi-final and final.
He is indeed. He's a terrific young talent. I worked with Robbie with Northern Ireland under-19s. I've said previously, he was a very angry young man. He'd done a lot of his work outside the box, but he seems to be putting all his aggression towards getting goals, and he's really flourished into a terrific young player.
And still at 23, he can have lots of ambition within the game. There's Motherwell through Gallagher. Well, that's a free kick not given by the referee. Well, Chris Long looked across as McLean caught him. Gallagher back onto Carson. Kane tries to bring it down, off to Gallagher. Marinhoff to go some there. Right foot to clip it forward. Campbell closed down. It's going to be a good battle, the two number 6s, Gallagher up against Campbell, two talented young players. Liam Polworth. Campbell. Again, not finding the Motherwell players an opportunity to get moving through Rory Donnelly. McDade wants the ball. Mugabe, referee was right up with play. Didn't see a problem. Now Grimshaw towards Long. It's a little nudge by McLean. That's good from Long. Chris Long across the byline. That's a terrific covering challenge by Keith Cowan, making sure there was no way past.
This is the free kick Robbie McDade was looking for initially. I'm not too sure Bevis Mugabe knows where he is. And then it's all about Chris Long, who does really well to take the ball in. Harry McLean just gets too tight in the wide area. Once Chris Long gets past him, then you've got to say Keith Cowan does really well covering that near post area to make sure the ball doesn't get in between defender and goalkeeper. And that's Motherwell got a chance to put the ball in the box.
So Liam Polworth, second start of the season. Well, O'Donnell wants it short at the edge of the box, but Polworth wants to play it in. The initial shot blocked. Tough moment for Glentoran. Relied on their keeper Kofing just to come across and make sure there was going to be a problem.
It's a great ball in from Liam Polworth. He gets too much space. Just Callum Lang, I think, and then ends up being a good save by Dale Coling. First chance for Motherwell.
Yeah, a bit more pace. He might have struggled, the keeper, but he was always favourite to get down for that. Did the right thing pushing it wide. Polworth again, breaks off Mugabe and then the defender, so it's going to be another corner.
You have to say it's the one thing about Motherwell, they've got a really good physical presence. Bevis Mugabe, Ricky Lamy, Declan Gallagher as the three central defenders. Mark O'Hara is always good for a goal. Stephen O'Donnell is a good physical presence as well. So if Liam Polworth can get the ball right, it gives his attacking players a chance to get in the end of it.
So Bevis Mugabe lines up at the edge of the box. Polworth is there yet to score for Motherwell, Bevis Mugabe. But he is certainly a threat. Colling stays on his line as that's lifted too long. Big Riamana beats O'Donnell. With David Turnbull going to Motherwell, you would think it's a big loss, and it is, but in terms of playing together, I mean, they didn't have him for most of last term anyway, so Motherwell are used to that.
Well, they are indeed. You know, it then becomes upon other players to take responsibility to make things happen. You know, like Alan Campbell, Liam Polworth get their opportunities tonight again. Mark O'Hara getting on the ball and trying to play those killer passes. But the one thing David did bring to the team, he brought goals. So to try and fill that void is very difficult.
Grimshaw, as Lang goes into the box up against Kane. And he's got men wanting the ball. It's Ricky Lamy. Pass off the right boot. And that's well cleared by Dade. And then there's a pull. Referee was a little bit sloppy in giving that, but it was. The free kick is awarded.
You've got to say it's terrific play by Robbie McDade. He's isolated. He takes it in really well. Bevis Mugabe probably should start in front of Robbie McDade as opposed to allowing him to take his first touch, but it just shows how much Robbie's improved. His game awareness, his ability to bring the ball into play, just releases the pressure, and Glentoran can get up the pitch.
McLean will come and take. Could be danger here for Motherwell. O'Hara steps in. Gallagher returns the header. Flicked on by Clucas. McDade and Donnelly were close, and it was McDade who went in for it.
I think you have to say the visitors have settled very well. There's no nerves. I think last week's game against Torshavn just upped their fitness levels that little bit more. They've been a couple of weeks without a game. Motherwell probably played more games in recent weeks, but Glentoran certainly looking very comfortable in this environment.
Yeah, what was interesting about that game, the Torshavn game, of course, the Faroese actually had the more shots in the match. It was 10-5, but Glentoran got the one that counted, including a terrific goal. And that's why they're here at Fir Park, as there's no way through for O'Neill, an Irish Cup final goal scorer. Polworth. Chris Long already had a couple of good touches. It's a decent recovery from the fullback, Marin.
It's the one thing that Caelan Marin's got, really good recovery pace. He joined Glentoran last January from Glenavon. I think many people thought he may eventually end up across the water, so he could eventually, but he's settling himself in well at Glentoran. They are a big football club in Northern Ireland, so it certainly won't bother him.
So opening 18 minutes, very little to choose between the sides. Motherwell, the last 10 European games, they haven't won any, just one draw. Goal scoring's the problem. Failed to score in 7 of 10 games. They have played some good opposition, and so one or two they were expected to do better against. And there's Carson. Needs to get himself back, doesn't mind the altercation. Donnelly on to Gallagher. Dangerous ball in, but O'Hara. Just see Mark O'Hara's good at that. He's the deepest lying in the midfield player, Stephen, but he sits and he provides great cover.
He's a very good reader of the game, and when you play in that defensive position, you have to try and protect your central defenders in front. Trevor Carson earlier on getting himself caught outside his box, but yeah, Mark O'Hara, I think yet again improving as he's getting older. His game awareness, his passing ability. And he also carries that threat of a goal at the other end of the pitch.
So Marcus Kane, all being well this season, will hit 300 games for Glentoran. Sends it long, Campbell. McLean. Campbell again. Just overhit there by Marcus Kane.
I think the message for Mick McDermott giving his players ahead of the game: don't take any risks early in the game, don't encourage Motherwell. If their confidence is low, don't give them any confidence. So he'll be delighted that his players so far have followed his instructions. You've got to say they've been comfortable in possession, quite prepared to take part in the game. So he'll be pleased as it sits.
Bagramana played 9 European games for Newcastle United back in 2012-13. So he does have some pedigree. Launches that long. Big shot came in from Kane. Oh, Gallagher's header, you want to head it way down the side, not the middle, but didn't really have the power that you associate with Declan Gallagher.
It's interesting, as much as I said earlier on, that Glentoran have to try and adapt to Motherwell's system because it's different for them. I think Motherwell are still trying to adapt to what they're wanting to do, where their out ball is, who's the spare players. Again, they're going to have to learn on the game as they go also.
Here's Chris Long. Chris Long isn't your typical forward. He does like to drift in deep, he does like to drift out to each side, and perhaps Motherwell could do with him just staying a little bit further up the park.
Sometimes that comes through frustration, Paul. When you want to touch the ball, you want to take part in the game, you end up coming deeper and deeper, and that's suiting Glentoran at the minute.
Off the head of McLean. Pressure put on. Here's Lang. Lang beats Kane easily. It's all about the cross ball now. Driven across, turned behind. And the referee looks to his assistant and says goal kick. Alan Campbell didn't believe his was the last touch.
I would have to say, Alan's a very honest young man. It's difficult to see from here. When there's a cluster of legs go in for the ball, I'm convinced sometimes referees and referees' assistants just have a little bit of a gamble.
Well, thankfully we don't have VAR for things like that at the moment. In fact, let's go further. Thankfully we don't have VAR.
I have to agree. I think our game at times is better off without it.
Yeah, if you're trying to tell if a toenail is offside, you're probably best not to bother. Gallagher sends it long for Lang. Long for Lang to long could be a problem this evening, but we're trying our best. Sent off at Ross County on the opening fixture. I mean, it's the worst possible start for a player. He can't overwork himself though, he can't try too hard. He's going to just try and let things happen to him.
I think he was down in fitness anyway when he arrived at the club. Getting sent off certainly didn't help his chances. I think, like Chris Long, he's still playing catch up, but no doubt they've got attributes.
Bobby McDade was up and in there again. Well, he doesn't like to hang about, getting in there trying to noise up the defenders. Liam Grimshaw back in action, one sub appearance the last two.
And I think when you look at Glentoran, some people think, oh, they're an Irish League club, they're part-time, they won't be competitive. I think they've got 16 full-time players and 3 players who will also train 3 nights a week to make it up to 19. So they're well drilled. Fitness levels won't be an issue when you look at sports science throughout all levels of sport. Everyone wants to use it as much as they possibly can, and Glentoran certainly are doing that.
Yeah, they've had a few lean years, but they are certainly bouncing back as Alan Campbell tries to get on the end of that. Lang in front of him. Here's Grimshaw. McLean away. And Donnelly. Gallagher on to Carson. Gallagher turning into Motherwell's Iron Man, such as the run of games he plays for them.
I think that's a very good partnership at the heart of the Glentoran defence. I think Paddy McLean and Keith Cowan complement each other very well. They were stalwarts on the road to winning that Irish Cup final. Very solid, understand each other. It's a vital component of the team.
Yeah, a nice mix of youth and experience, 23 and 35. McLean tends to do more of the challenging, but he knows that Cowan's around. Grimshaw. Porth couldn't hold on. Paul O'Neill. It's given away by Marin. Gallagher tries to stretch. The ball may have been won, but so too was the player. Credit to the referee, he's communicating well.
Well, I think it's because Motherwell in possession of the ball takes the deflection off the referee. I think the ball then went to a Glentoran player, which means because he's interfered with the ball, he has to drop it down and give it back to Glentoran. For those who really don't understand the rule, it is confusing.
Gallagher on to Grimshaw. Colling not seriously tested, one save to push away for a corner. The shot while on target was weak, and that will go against Liam Grimshaw. Well, the longer it goes, the happier Glentoran will be. Only once have they won back-to-back European ties, 1973 with Chiminer, Ramanico, Valika, and then the much easier to pronounce Bran. Right to the quarter-finals of the Cup Winners' Cup that term, lost to Borussia Mönchengladbach.
They're certainly a club with a rich history. It's been tough for them over the years, Glentoran, watching their rivals throughout Belfast picking up trophies left, right and centre. I feel as if it's gone full circle. They've now got a chance to add to their trophy cabinet, and I wouldn't bet against it.
Gathered by Lang. Keith Cowan back to his central defensive partner. Cooling. No high feet against Lang. Referee's allowed play to continue. Long is outside him. Bigliamana has to be careful. Good first touch. And the corner is awarded.
Yeah, good counter-attack. I think Paddy McLean found himself off the pitch down with an injury. Gila Bigliamana does really well to recover, take that ball away from Chris Long. And that's making sure Paddy McLean returning to action. He's a crucial defender to go and defend this set play.
Yeah, he kept himself on the field of play, so he simply picks himself back up again. And Liam Polworth set for the corner once more. The referee not happy with a little bit of pushing and pulling. Declan Gallagher. You see Keith Cowan. Polworth's corner, easily headed away. It was well played by Clucas.
Yeah, he's an aggressive player, Shannon Clucas. Reminiscing about the tackle earlier on, but certainly early, quite happy to go and compete, put his body on the line. Like most of the players that play in the Irish League, fully committed.
Here comes Grimshaw up against Gallagher. Almost overrun that, but he's kept it in. Teasing ball by O'Hara, the goalkeeper, and the Gibraltar international goalkeeper gathers well and then just holds the ball away from Chris Long.
Yeah, and I think that's been an interesting couple of weeks at Glentoran, bringing in the likes of Luke McCulloch from Tranmere, Northern Ireland international, Jamie McDonough, under 21 international for Northern Ireland, and Coling as well, Gibraltar international, Gila Bigliamana, Burundi. So there's certainly plenty of talent being brought to the football club. You see Luke McCulloch there, warming up.
Yeah, it's a good pickup, really good pickup. Came off the bench and he's the HB in the last round. Here's Kane, he's getting some movement from Gallagher and Clucas. Kane. Problems here for Motherwell if they can't clear. Turn the shot by O'Neill, the deflection. Well, that's one of these ones, Stephen, that could go absolutely anyway. Carson was committed and down, and this could have gone in.
Absolutely. I watched Paul O'Neill score a wonderful goal in the Irish Cup semi-final or final. Trevor Carson's beaten. As soon as it takes a deflection, Trevor Carson just has to hope that the ball goes wide. Unfortunately for him, it did.
Mark O'Hara nearly found himself on the score sheet unwittingly. Bigliamana plays it in the header, and the goalkeeper is down, and Rory Donnelly got down really well to that. Carson, as the ball goes out of play, set play, causing problems again. Motherwell. Good slide by Gallagher. Campbell's picked up. Polworth. O'Donnell inside onto O'Hara. Gets away from Clucas. Bigliamana was strong in the tackle. And Clucas, well, you can see what he wanted to do, and he's executed it beautifully. Robbie McDade against Mugabe. He's going to step inside him. Well, idea, the intention, if not the execution.
It's a good run from Robbie McDade, isn't it? He wants to be 1v1. Favours that right foot. No doubt about it. Trying to open the goal up for himself, but this is the big moment in the first half so far. Rory Donnelly gets himself across Mark O'Hara. In all honesty, I think he's got a score from there. Free header inside the 6-yard box. Big let off from Motherwell. Huge opportunity for Glentoran.
Well, Motherwell have struggled this season to find the back of the net. Trevor Carson has also been busy, as Mugabe picks up Polworth. O'Neill will gather. Went past Lammy.
You'll have to say it's a bit of mix of Motherwell trying to find their way, but also how hard Glentoran are working. But Rory Donnelly gets himself free. You have to say it's a terrific save by Trevor Carson. I think it's his feet that eventually keep the ball out. But I'm just saying that, yeah, Motherwell struggling to find their way, but I think a lot of credit has to go to Glentoran the way they've approached this game. There's some fears they may set off, they may try and defend deep. Absolutely not. On the front foot and trusting in themselves.
McDade might break for Connolly. McLean easily beats Chris Long. Donnelly holds off Gallagher. Gallagher just goes off Mugabe. If we did have fans in the stadium, Stephen, I think the Motherwell home crowd would start to be pretty restless by this point.
Yeah, but it's difficult, Paul, because, you know, when you've hit 5 games without a win, you don't just turn up and flick a switch and you're brilliant. It takes your time to feel your way back into it, and you just need a lift of some sort.
Chris Long tried to supply it from the edge of the box. McLean away. Grimshaw, though, with the ball. And McLean again, the human wall. Grimshaw just too far. Polworth couldn't get on the end of it. Bigliamana, but Mugabe read that. Polworth. O'Hara. Ricky Lammy with a little bit of space. They could do with closing him down, Glentoran, because he chips on a nice ball. McLean away. And then thumped clear by Gallagher. Motherwell's Gallagher. O'Neill trying to track him.
Yeah, I think the shape of Glentoran's terrific. They're working ever so hard. They're plugging all the gaps, not allowing Motherwell to play through them, not allowing any space in between their back 4 and their midfield 3. Forcing Motherwell to play a lot of square passes, negative passes.
Gathered by Callum Lang. Might break onto Polworth. Polworth under pressure from Gallagher. Away by McLean. Alan Campbell trying to work a 1-2. The shot and the turn. Dale Colling, as you hope your goalkeeper to do, keeping his eye on things, and he'll take his time. Just try and take the sting out of things.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot to do. You just look at how many bodies are in that area. Glentoran getting people around the ball. Stephen O'Donnell swivelling, trying to get enough power in the shot. Can't do it, but just another strength of Glentoran, not allowing Motherwell any space to play in, allowing them to settle into the rhythm.
Lang to Long. McLean and Cowan doing enough. Oh, starting to see a bit more of the ball now. Here's Grimshaw. The Grammana. Previously a partnership, now an opposing side. Lammy. On to Mugabe. Well, Motherwell's first appearance in Europe since 2014. It's not quite going to plan so far. No way through for Grimshaw. Donnelly does well. Just needed to hold on there. Rory Donnelly. Pass certainly forward wasn't on. Here's Chris Long. Long, he's away from McLean, right through the middle, and the goalkeeper does well to push it away. Well, Callum Lang was coming in on the goalkeeper. He had to make sure, Stephen, that he pushed that well wide.
It's probably the best passage of play for Chris Long. Paddy McLean allows him to come back inside, tries to open the goal up for himself with his right foot. Probably isn't going to beat Dale Coling from that distance, but he's done enough, got it away from goal, and the scores remain level.
Kane sends it long. Motherwell are looking for a lift. Trevor Carson, who lost his Gran Esther to COVID-19, big Glentoran fan. Grandad Kenneth will be watching on and supporting.
I have to say, at times Glentoran are going 4 for 4 at the back. Is brave, but it's certainly working at the minute. Motherwell having possession in their own half, giving away cheap possession also.
It's given away to Robbie McDade. McDade, Clucas on the turn, gets the shot away. Carson had figured that was going wide, but it just shows how quickly a game can change. You know, nice little move by Glentoran. Motherwell can't take anything for granted at the back.
Yeah, and it's down to the bravery of Glentoran, being brave, quite prepared to step onto the game. Shannon Clucas has to get up in support of Robbie McDade. Rory Donnelly's doing it on this left-hand side. Paul O'Neill on the right-hand side. They're not quite prepared to come here and sit back. They want to come and get after the game, and they are.
Grammana does really well. They're not being out-fought, Glentoran, that's for sure. 50th game in charge for Mick McDermott. He'd be happy with how his team have been playing. Maron just needs to be a little bit better in possession.
Yeah, that's just when you need that little bit of composure. Paul O'Neill's frustrated. He hasn't had an awful lot of the ball. Keelan Maron, don't be frightened just to roll the ball into his feet, but Mick McDermott and Paul Miller will be absolutely delighted with the performance of their players. Has it surprised him? Probably not, because as a group of players have been getting better and better over the last 6 to 9 months.
Plenty of experience. Mick McDermott coached in the USA, Iran, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. As Motherwell have a man down. And it's Stephen O'Donnell, which is automatically a concern for Motherwell and also for Scotland.
I think it may be when he landed. There's the Motherwell being risky in their own half, having possession with no end product. It's a loose pass from Liam Grimshaw, and just look at Shannon Clucas up in support of Robbie McDade. Just can't get enough power in the shot. Trevor Carson glad that it's going wide, but it's more Motherwell encouraging Glentoran as opposed to the other way around.
Dale Coling kept a clean sheet last season against Legia Warsaw for Europa FC. They did lose the away leg 3-0. That was no mean feat as your Warsaw Conquerors of Linfield this season, but it's been a good season so far for the Irish clubs in Europe.
And I just wonder at half-time, will Motherwell try and change anything? Will they go back to the 4-3-3 that they've tried this season? Will they stick with the 3-5-2? With regards to Mick McDermott, I think he'll just roll the players back out. Same again, keep trying to put Motherwell on the back foot. Can they be slightly better in possession at times, but all around they've certainly been impressive.
Paul O'Neill loses out to Stephen O'Donnell. Beats Bigramana. Polworth. Long. That's a good recovery tackle. Well, you mentioned it already, his recovery pace is good, and we see it again there from Keelan Martin.
It's the one thing they've been excellent at. They've backed each other up. If someone gets beaten in a wide area, they're quite prepared to get themselves back in. Really good team spirit to help each other out. You can just see Keelan Martin doesn't give up. Slightly heavy touch from Chris Long, but just encourages Keelan Martin to make the tackle.
Motherwell trying to make the set piece pay. Liam Polworth, man from Inverness, swings in, diving header away. Martin again the man. That's a good ball in. McLean reads it, knocked on by Gallagher. A little bit of fouling going on by Alan Campbell. He's not on the same page as the referee as far as that decision is concerned.
Got to say, even from that second ball from the corner kick, Paddy McLean positioning himself really well in the heart of that 18-yard box. Sometimes it's the second ball that can do you, but they've defended well. They've stood up to the challenge.
A little puff of breath from Dale Colling. 5th European appearance for the goalkeeper. Kane round the corner. McDade. No. Referee decided there was to be a free kick to be given.
Yeah, I think he takes it back for the handball. I think initially it's Liam Grimshaw. He tried to give advantage to Robbie McDade. There was no advantage played, or given, sorry, so back for the free kick. And it's the one thing Motherwell supporters know about Gail Bigramana. He can certainly put a good delivery into the box. This is certainly a tantalising area for him. Marcus Keane, Paddy McLean, Keith Cowan will certainly fancy their chances.
57 appearances for Motherwell. Chipped in with 3 goals, so he's trying to set up Glentoran. Goalkeeper decides there was no danger to come. That does disappoint managers, because you've got a great opportunity and that was neither betwixt nor between.
It's 2 or 3 times Gail has done that, even from corner kicks. Very high, very loopy, easy for defenders to go and attack. When you get the opportunity in the final third, you can't waste it.
Grimshaw forward, easily headed away by McLean. Clucas, high into the Lanarkshire sky it goes. O'Neill will lose out to Polworth. Motherwell trying to seek some inspiration. Will they find it through Polworth? O'Donnell is wide. Low ball in, Cowan can't get there, there's real danger here. And that's Cowan who lashes out to send the ball up and over the top. There was plenty of defenders back. But again, Motherwell just not finding the opportunity to get the clean strike.
I have to say, that's probably the best they've worked the ball up the pitch. Declan Gallagher into Polworth, in behind. But you just have to look at the number of green jerseys prepared to put their body in the line, wanting to make sure this does not a goal for them, all in the one area. And Stephen O'Donnell, one of his first opportunities on that left-hand side.
The corner, the goalkeeper comes for, there's problems here. Little touch on. You can see the defending going on. Once again, it's good play. Lucas gets himself out to stop the quick throw. Well, there's plenty of green bodies in the box. and they've been hard for Motherwell to get past. Gallagher. A minute till half time. It's dangerous into the middle, tried the back heel, Callum Lang. Mugabe will be well aware of the man on his shoulder. Oh, McDade, that's what you want from your front man. You don't want an easy ball back so it can just come straight back. And you're not going to get a lot of plaudits, you're not going to win clean ball, but that's so important.
He takes his team up the pitch. Bevis Mugabe a little bit indecisive.
Into the middle it goes. Grimshaw. Motherwell looking to sting their visitors just before the half. Polworth against Kane. That will be a corner. The fourth official is Kevin Van Dam, the lesser known of the Van Dam family. And he does have the board, but I don't think there is any additional time. Played in and played away. And that is half-time. Well, Glentoran came here hoping to frustrate Motherwell, and they have done precisely that. Stephen O'Donnell did have a chance early doors, but Motherwell have found the men from Northern Ireland hard to break down, and they'll make their way up the stand to our right-hand side to where their changing rooms are. Very happy with the way things are going here at Fir Park. Frustration for Stephen Robinson's men. A half-time scoreline at Fir Park. Motherwell 0, Glentoran 0. Welcome back to Fir Park, where Motherwell are facing Glentoran, who in their 100th game in European football are seeking to win for the 12th time. At half-time they're well set, they've frustrated the Scottish side, and we await the opening goal. Football this evening, rugby tomorrow. Tomorrow night, exclusive live action from Murrayfield as Edinburgh face Glasgow Warriors in the last Scottish derby in the Guinness Pro 14 this season. Edinburgh will, however, advance to the semi-finals of the competition, where they will face Ulster live Saturday the 5th of September. Every Pro 14 game, of course, live here on Premier Sports. So, Stephen, when I was doing my homework for this, I watched the Irish Cup final. I used a certain internet site called YouTube, which gave me the Irish Cup final, the interview with Mick McDermott, highlights of the Crusaders game, and then the best of Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits. Now, there can't be any link between Glentoran and Simon and Garfunkel unless I'm missing something.
Well, I must be missing it as well. I've got absolutely no idea, but you know, certainly it was a very encouraging Irish Cup run. I'd said to you before, Paul, the British Iranian investor Ali Poor, he came to the football club, he'd put his money in because he wanted to win domestic trophies. He also wanted to have the club back in European football, and he got his wish within 18 months. So it's certainly a club on the upward spiral, looking to add quality all the time, and it's been a really positive performance from the visitors tonight. Motherwell have to do something, whether it's tactical, whether it's individually. Someone has to take a little bit more responsibility. The two forward players, Lang and Long, haven't linked up often enough. They're playing as individuals, but for Glentoran it will be, can they replicate that first half? Can they put in that same level of performance? I'm sure at some stage the legs will get tired, the legs will get heavy, but you only have to look to the bench. Alexa Jamie McDonough, Kieran O'Connor come on in the Irish Cup semi-final and final and was terrific for the Glens, and Luke McCulloch also. So Mick McDermott will think he's got plenty of options, but so have Motherwell.
Indeed, I mean, you've got a man who scored against Barcelona, and Tony Watt. He's played in Europe for Celtic, he's played in Europe for CSKA. He certainly has the experience. You've got Jordan White, who's been signed from Inverness, who's keen to try and make a breakthrough. So Motherwell are out, and they're out early to see if they can find something just to make that little bit of a difference. Motherwell in their time, 19 European goal scorers. Jamie Murphy scored 7 times, Stevie Kirk scored 5 times, but they're still looking to find a player to become the first Motherwell player to score since Lionel Ainsworth. That's been too long. Liam Grimshaw, not really an attacking threat, never scored on 106 appearances, but strange things sometimes happen in European football. You just don't know where you're going to find a match winner from.
I thought you were actually going to ask me, Paul, if I scored for Motherwell in Europe, but I'm sure the Motherwell fans won't be surprised to hear I haven't, but I have managed to score against them in Europe, which again they'll not be surprised about.
I was far too polite to mention, although you had a couple of really good nights from them. I mean, the tie against Nancy was a memorable one. It was memorable for Motherwell fans as well. They had a great time over in France, and there's always something special about European nights, and let's hope that the next time Motherwell play in Europe, that fans will be allowed inside. The away team do have slightly longer in terms of the scenic route to gather, and Glentoran will enter. When you look across at the team, I mean, you mentioned, you know, we've not seen a lot of Paul O'Neill, but across the back four, you know, Kane, McLean, Cowan and Marin have all done a really solid job.
They have indeed. Marcus Kane has probably been the more ambitious fullback down this left-hand side. Keelan Marin quite happy to stay at home and just keep it as a back three, but Marcus Kane's got great energy levels up and down that left-hand side. He really epitomises everything good about Glentoran. I was delighted when he lifted that Irish Cup. He's been through an awful lot emotionally with his family. Well, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it was a big night for him and his family. As I say, he just epitomises everything good about Glentoran.
And Patrick McLean, you know, he's played his part. Interesting, he played here for Sligo Rovers against Motherwell under 20, so he's had the benefit of playing in this stadium before, and just little things like that can make a difference.
He looks a very assured defender. You know, it was a bit of a surprise when Glentoran signed him. There was talk he may have went to some other clubs, but Mick McDermott's worked his magic. He's brought in some very good players to the football club. He's created competition for places, and that's been reciprocated by the players, because in the first 45 minutes you have to say they put in an outstanding performance.
So Chris Gallagher made his debut for Glentoran in September 2018, had a little spell at Shrewsbury Town. Gets ready to get us underway at the start of the second half. So Glentoran last in Europe back in 2015. They lost against Zilna from Slovakia. Already past Torshavn, who had a hammer in their logo, and they now face the Steelmen, which you would think is a tougher challenge, but they've certainly risen to the occasion so far.
It'll be interesting what both managers said. I'm sure Mick McDermott would have said to the Glentoran players, same again, don't encourage the opposition. Stephen Robinson will be asking for a little bit more from his side.
O'Neill can't finesse that through. O'Donnell launches it long. Kane, Gallagher, and Marin will come and just try and link up with his goalkeeper, and Colling obliges.
That could have been messy. Good communication between Colling and Keelan Marin, both singing from the same hymn sheet.
That's the only Messi we'll be linking to Motherwell this evening. You know, Messi, according to the internet, has been linked with every team going. Here's O'Neill. So the crowd noise you can hear is being supplied by Motherwell. It's playing throughout the stadium. That's Keelan Marin, appearance number 7 for the man from Newry. Mugabe saw that go over his head, and Paul O'Neill was in pretty quickly, and Motherwell looked like they'd switched off for a moment. Shout for handball, not given. Grimshaw hits Kane, and that's an early scare at both ends.
It's a big chance for Paul O'Neill. He's waited for his opportunities. He's had to be patient. Let off for the home side.
Motherwell come to the other end and will earn the corner kick. McLean just knocking out of play.
This is one thing you get with Chris Long. He's all action. He's quite prepared to put the leg work in. He's carried the fight tonight to the Glentoran back four. He just needs a little bit of support from his strike partner, Callum Lang.
11 goals in 36 appearances. None of those goals coming this season in the 5 appearances made so far. Polworth with a signal. Polworth and Mugabe is up. Well off target in the end. Campbell knows he's got O'Neill on his shoulder. Gallagher was calling for it, but Grimshaw will take it past the skipper.
They're quite patient in the shape. Glentoran not prepared to become disjointed and be easy to play against. Sticking to their principles.
O'Donnell. Well, line went off. Just made the run too early and just got caught out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's very close, isn't it? I'm not too sure there's an awful lot in that. The referee's assistant quite prepared to put his flag up. Shouldn't really have a big impact in the game, but referee's assistants have to be switched on.
Well, he was confident the flag, didn't hesitate in going up. Klukas tries to play it through, but again, Carson able to get on the end of it. Grimshaw, Englishman from Burley. Inside it goes on to O'Hara. Lammy. Again, it's a strong tackle. Gallagher will be pinged. Let's have another look at the offside. I have to say, in real time, I thought it was offside, but let's just check. It's all about when he strikes the ball.
Yeah, I think he's quite clearly on, Paul, isn't he? You know, you can see the ball leaving the foot of Stephen O'Donnell.
I think it would fall within an acceptable margin for an assistant not quite to call it correctly. So Mark O'Hara. Straight dead centre. Two goals last term. Traded his jersey number 52 for number 7. They're looking to make an impact here in Europe. The wall, though, is made of strong stuff. It's Cowan that's gone down.
You could have set Keith Cowan in the wall. Again, putting his body in the line. Robbie McDaid then picking up the second ball. I think it's something Glentoran have done very well tonight. They've picked up a lot of second balls all over the pitch. Robbie McDaid has challenged for a lot of things. The Motherwell defenders have won it, but Shannon Klukas and Chris Gallagher, Gail Bigramana, plenty of support round about him to pick up the scraps.
This is Motherwell's 16th European tie. They've won 5, they've lost 10. As the challenge is heavy, and there's a problem here because Klukas has gone through O'Donnell, and this could change the whole match. It's a second yellow, and it's the red card. And well, the match has changed. Shannon Klukas, heavy in the tackle in the first half, inside 10 minutes of the match, repeats it in the second, and the referee had no hesitation in showing him the second yellow and the red.
You can't do that, Paul, I'm afraid. I had some people contacting me at half-time thinking his first half tackle could have been a red. But once you're on a yellow card, you've got to be very careful when you go to ground. When you commit the way Shannon Klukas did, I think he has a heavy touch. He has a heavy touch. He catches Stephen O'Donnell just above the left ankle. And if I'm being honest, that tackle alone could have been a red card also. You get that sometimes when you have that heavy touch. You think in your mind, I've got to win this ball. But he's got to try and put some ice in that head and say to himself, calm down. He doesn't. Once he commits, he's given his team a hard work from now. You go above the ball, endangering an opponent. He absolutely was. And I think the referee is spot on.
Well, what a blow that is for Glentoran. Within 6 minutes of the second half, it is now 10 men against 11. And if they are to repeat the heroics of 1973 and winning back-to-back European ties, they're going to do it the hard way. That will give Motherwell a lift, and they will look to punish immediately. Long. Grimshaw in. Lang with a header, easy enough for the goalkeeper. Yeah, we sometimes think about red card challenges. I mean, they don't have to be particularly malicious, and I don't think there was a great deal of malice in it, but you described it, the fact that he has gone in heavy, he's gone over the ball. It'd be interesting, the referee decided, well, it was an easy decision for the referee just to say it's a second yellow because he knew he was going off anyway.
Yeah, it changes the whole dynamics of the game, doesn't it? Motherwell now get a little bit more belief.
What can Robbie McDade do? The chances might be few and far between. O'Donnell was in quickly. Here's Gallagher, away from Grimshaw. Donnelly's in the middle, so too is O'Neill. What an opportunity, and Ricky Lamy looks back as well. He wanted to make sure he didn't play the man before the ball got there.
Well, the good chances keep coming for the away side. Chris Gallagher does really well, yet again picking up that second ball, but look at the quality in for Paul O'Neill, who gets across the face of Ricky Lamy. Yet again, it's another big opportunity that Glentoran will think, we should be ahead. And that really would have given them something to hang on to if they could have got that goal. Motherwell having the play, having the extra man, Glentoran creating the best chances.
Motherwell have scored in just one of their 5 games this season. That would have put them really under the cosh. Here's Polworth. Polworth. On to Campbell. He's taken a deflection across. Marlon takes his time. That's clever play by McDade. Held off Lamy. Sloan coming forward in support. Donnelly has made a terrific run on this far side. The pass is a beautiful one. Donnelly in. Well, since going out to 10 men, Glentoran have actually had a couple of good chances.
Do you know what? Sometimes when you go a man down, it forces you to be braver in possession of the ball. It forces you to make more forward runs. And that switch of play, you've got to say, from Marcus Kane was absolutely sensational. Rory Donnelly, who again has done a lot of unselfish work tonight. He's worked for the team, hasn't had a lot going forward, but showed a great turn of pace. And many think when you go down to 10 men, do you camp in? Absolutely not.
Well, will they be rewarded for the bold and the brave? The header is just going to go wide, and it's another wonderful chance. Well, Liam Grimshaw starts the inquest. Who on earth was marking Robbie McDade?
You just wonder, will they come back to regret those missed opportunities? Robbie McDade again. He comes right, I think it's Stephen O'Donnell he peels off. But he's going to find himself alone for the next 5 or 10 minutes, Robbie McDade. But when he does get hold of that ball, he's got to try and take it in and bring his teammates up the pitch.
Grimshaw in the area, pulls it back. And the ball just eased behind. Well, there's been no lack of chances in the game, Stephen.
No, there hasn't. And, you know, Motherwell probably find a little bit more space because they have the extra man. That's never really going to threaten the goal of Dale Coling. But you've got to say, Glentoran being brave. I know that's the one thing that Mick McDermott has instilled in these players. They're certainly well organised. They're high energy. And even down to 10 men, they're not taking their foot off the gas.
Mark O'Hara plays the ball away, the goal scorers for Motherwell this season. Alan Campbell is on the field, and David Turnbull will be watching. And the one thing David Turnbull will be hoping for is that they can win in his absence. As Big Ray Manor read the pass from O'Hara. Here's O'Neill. Mugabe easily back to Carson.
Yeah.
So flip the coin. Do Motherwell feel a bit more pressure now because they do have the advantage?
Yeah, possibly, but I would expect that Stephen would make some sort of change soon. He doesn't need 3 central defenders on anymore. Glentoran only playing with 1 striker, so their extra player, or extra 2 players, at times are in that back line. So he may change the shape, may change the style of play, because they really need to get this victory.
Referee happy to play play on. Lang to Grimshaw. Gallagher got it away, but it'll break back Motherwell's way. Stephen O'Donnell, little touch, and Lang! That's a beautiful goal from Motherwell, and Callum Lang scores for the first time as a Motherwell player. He becomes the 20th Motherwell player to score a European competition. He made it with O'Donnell. The finish was fine. Motherwell 1, Glentoran 0.
And it's probably his only chance of the game so far. We wondered about all those missed opportunities for Glentoran come back to bite them, and it has. Stephen O'Donnell doesn't make full contact with the ball, but Callum Lang continues his run forward, and just when he's looking for a little bit of composure, he manages just to lift the ball over the outstretched body of Dale Coling. And you've got to say, against the run of play, against the run of chances, it's the home side that take the lead.
Well, it can be a cruel game. Gallagher slid it away, but it came straight on to Lang. O'Donnell returned it. It was a beautiful finish from the Liverpudlian, just to lifted it up.
Goal scorer for Motherwell in the 58th minute of the match.
Changes are going to be made. Sherwin Seedorf wanted on the field of play. Needs someone to go through the proper protocols. There is a problem, so he pops back down to the dressing room.
And the important thing for Glentoran is you don't concede a quick second, let the game get away from you. At 1-0, you're still well in the game. You don't need to score in the next 2 or 3 minutes. You just need to make sure you don't concede in the next 2 or 3 minutes, so you can have that chance as the game progresses.
And try and make the most of any set plays from out wide. Marcus Kane, again showing the experience that he has. Well, they liked it. Not everybody was looking that way, but they liked it.
I can imagine it's a surge of relief, Paul, when you haven't scored a lot of goals, you haven't been at your best tonight. The opposition are creating chances. In that situation, you'll take any type of goal.
Well, last week, Glentoran were outshot by Torshavn and won the game. This week, they are outshooting Motherwell and they're trailing. Big Riamana played it in, and all the way behind it goes. So looking at potential offside, but O'Donnell was on because the fullback on the far side is playing him on.
Yeah. Chris Long doesn't score the goal, it's actually Callum Lang. So Chris Long, who his right arm may be offside, isn't involved in the play. And there's that substitution we thought about. You don't need 3 central defenders. Liam Grimshaw is off the pitch. Stephen O'Donnell will play right back. Ricky Lamy come as a left back, and Sherwin Seedorf, with plenty of pace, will be a threat.
So it's a more traditional shape for Motherwell, as Stephen has outlined. A little bit more relaxed from Motherwell, but they still have to be on their guard. And Callum Lang becoming the first Motherwell player to score in Europe since Lionel Ainsworth. Another goal scorer in that game against the Icelandic team Starant was Stephen Hamill, now the academy director here at Motherwell. Paul Worth. Seedorf's first touch. Gets it past Donnelly and doesn't quite manage to go over the advertising board.
There's certainly been better introductions. Sherwin Seedorf got plenty of pace.
So Paul O'Neill is going to come off, the opening goal in the cup final. 11 goals last term, 15 in total, but his European night will come to an end. And Jamie McDonough, former Derry City player, comes on. He came off the bench against Torshavn.
I've worked with Jamie at different levels, worked with Jamie under 17, under 19 with Northern Ireland. Got plenty of ability, a good ball carrier. That's exactly what Glentoran need at this moment in time. Someone who can take the ball up the pitch, win them a free kick, maybe high up, and he's got a goal in him as well.
He's involved immediately, and he's taken down by Ricky Lamy. He'll be lucky to escape any further damage, but the name will go into the book. First Motherwell player to be yellow carded in the match. Well, compare Sherwin Seedorf's start to the game with Jamie McDonough's.
It's really positive play, isn't it? And Jamie's played it right back in his career. I prefer him as a right winger. I think he gets at people. He's got a good turn of pace. And just the type of player Mick McDermott needs on the pitch when you're having to defend deep.
Paddy McLean has come forward, 2 goals in 36. So too Keith Cowan scored on his debut. Referee just taking his time to complete the paperwork. Sherwin Seedorf to take a step back. So McDonough has the chance to deliver. The referee is holding up. That's clipped in, and the header away by Lammy. As a central defender, you'd appreciate a clearing header like that.
Well, they needed to make the header. I think it was Keith Cowan that was just ghosting in behind him. If Ricky Lammy doesn't make contact, Keith Cowan has got a free header from 4 or 5 yards. But good to see Glentoran not throwing the towel in, quite prepared to stay in this game as long as they can. That will please the manager.
Chris Gallagher into the feet of Robbie McDade. McDade tried to feed McDonough, and Seedorf, well, his first involvement wasn't great, his second involvement wasn't great. He'll grow into the game. Sometimes you like that as a sub, you come on and you don't get a good first or second touch.
I have to say, I wasn't a sub very often, Paul, but yeah, I get your point.
First name on the team sheet, Stephen. Gallagher scoops it up. Gallagher again, McDonough is onside. And he's going to earn his side a corner. He'll be happy enough with that. Well, Glentoran are not writing themselves out of this, and Motherwell will realise that. They may have the lead, but they are under pressure.
Yeah, Jimmy McDonough's just given him a new lease of life. He's given him a good out ball. With all their set plays they've had, can they make one count?
Again, they've committed players forward. Slow this time, easily away by Campbell. Seedorf does a little bit better that time. Campbell forward. That's well held up by Chris Long. Gallagher on the overlap. It'll be played forward onto Polworth. Chris Long holding on just onside. That's where the ball has gone, and McLean read it well. It's again good defending. He's having a good night, Patrick McLean.
Yeah, the one thing about him is he's not rash in his decision making. He times things well, he reads it well. And sometimes that's the sign of a better defender as opposed to somebody who wants to lunge into tackles and make ridiculous challenges. He's been very impressive, McLean.
Motherwell, Callum Lang, the goal scorer. Off to Campbell, back on to Lang. Trying to bring in Seedorf. Marin forwards. Lammy just got the better of McDonough that time. And through on to Trevor Carson, looking to join a fairly elite list of Motherwell goalkeepers who've kept a clean sheet in Europe. Messrs Howie, Woods, Fraser and Randolph. Darren Randolph, 3 clean sheets in 10. Pegramana back on to Cowan.
Yeah, you know, when you're down to 10 men, you have to be more precise with your passing. Keith Cowan, unfortunately, that time put it out of play, but you've got to make your passes count. Otherwise, the opposition just keep coming. It almost becomes a tidal wave of attacks because you can't keep the ball. But it's only 1-0. Stephen Robinson will be desperate for a second goal. He knows you need that second goal to try and put the game to bed, or you keep Glentoran alive in the game.
Ball knocked out of play, as has become the norm. No ball people around the ground, but there are balls available. So Motherwell, without a home win in the last 5 European ties, have the lead. Mark O'Hara on to Seedorf. Of course, Stephen, it's very different. If this is a 2-legged affair, you can close up short. You know, 1-0 going home would be fine, but the joy of these shootout ties comes into play here.
Yeah, I just wonder at some stage, the longer it stays at 1-0, Mick McDermott will likely make a decision, take a midfield player off, go with the second striker, try and get after the goal. But there's no rush at the minute. There's still 23 minutes left of normal time, plus potential injury time. So if his players can keep it tight for the next 10 or 15 minutes, it gives him that opportunity to make that substitution to try and impact the game.
McDonough's pass intercepted by O'Hara. Alan Campbell. Still only 22, Alan Campbell, but this appearance 1-2-6 for Motherwell. And with the departure of Turnbull, even more influence coming in. It's a beautiful ball across. And again, Marin comes in. Has to get ahead of Polworth. He did so, turns it behind. It's again good reading of the game from the fullback.
You have to say it's another terrific piece of defending. He senses the danger. He sees the space. He gets himself across Liam Polworth. It's easy sometimes to give up and think him in the wrong position, but he doesn't. His defensive instinct kicks in. He gets a really good block in, and he keeps his side in this Europa League tie.
Tony Watt's preparing to come on. Callum Lang lost the boot. And the man who supplied the goal-scoring touch will get himself ready. Tony Watt preparing to come on. His 10th appearance in Europe for a third club. Just being checked by the fourth official. Corner delivered. Mugabe tried to go up there. It was McLean who won the header. O'Donnell. There's understandably less pressure on the back. As Long comes forward, tries to work the 1-2. McLean, with a clearance of industrial strength, just to send it away.
Yeah, there's naturally a little bit more space for Motherwell to play in. Tony Watt's going to get himself onto the pitch. I would imagine Callum Lang, yeah. He's got the only goal so far, Paul. He took a little knock, I think, a few minutes ago, hobbling about, so sensible decision.
Well, it's his first Motherwell goal, and it could be the goal that guide Motherwell into the second qualifying round. Time will tell. And Tony Watt comes on. Useful player to have to come off the bench. 20 minutes to play.
Yeah, I think he's been slightly frustrated. Tony Watt hasn't had lots of minutes recently. So your opportunity comes, 20 minutes to go. What have you got?
He's got a first touch that takes him away into the box. Forcing wide, looking to set up, and he earns his side a corner. That's the kind of introduction that Motherwell fans would be happy to see.
It is, and the longer the game goes at 1-0, the more nervous Motherwell might become if they can't get that second one, and the more belief that Glentoran may have that they can get an equaliser.
Liam Polworth again. Gallagher's there, so too is Lammy. Lammy tried to get the header, it's back across the middle. Marin couldn't get it away. Tony Watt again. That's another corner. And Motherwell, Stephen, will just be quite happy to be spending some time down inside that penalty area, just applying the pressure.
Exactly, but for the Glentoran players as well, you want to make sure you do your job. Don't give away a sloppy second goal from a set play when it's avoidable. Stick to your man, be aggressive, be in the right position. Try and keep the tie alive.
The corner, the goalkeeper comes, gets the punch away. Seedorf ahead of Bigramana. Picked up by Polworth. Stephen O'Donnell will fancy his chances! That's an absolute rapier of a shot. Blasted past the goalkeeper, and that looks like the goal that was secure. Round 2 qualification football for Motherwell. Stephen O'Donnell rattles one home. It's his first goal for Motherwell, and it's an absolute cracker.
It is indeed. He was given an awful lot of time. The Glentoran players couldn't get out to him quick enough. He just sets himself up. And Dale Coling, I'm not too sure he can do an awful lot about that. There's so much power, so much movement on the ball. It's what Motherwell were searching for. It's not been a classic performance tonight, but when your confidence is low and you've been up against it in this game, you just want somehow to get through, and it's right through Dale Coling. Not an awful lot he can do, and a wonderful goal from Stephen O'Donnell.
So another change has been made. Cameron Stewart has come off the bench. And you'll see him coming into action. Wins the header.
Yeah, Cameron Stewart's been out for a long time with an injury. He came on last week against Tórshavn as a centre forward. I thought he was excellent. He just managed to help the side right out the last 5 or 10 minutes when they're under pressure. Not an awful lot he can do now with 18 minutes to go, down to 10 men, but you've got to retain the hope, Glentoran. One goal just changes again the whole dynamics of the tie, if they can get back to 2-1.
Oh, Shannon Clucas will be sitting in the dressing room knowing his part wasn't a good one, as Alan Campbell has a chance to make it 3, and it breaks back onto Chris Long. I'm not convinced. I didn't think he was offside, because he had all the time in the world to make a better offer than this.
Yeah, I think Alan Campbell was appealing for a penalty kick. I think it may have hit Patrick McLean in the mid-drift, but when it comes back to Chris Long, we spoke about it earlier, that's what he has to add to his game. When he gets opportunities 5 and 6 yards from goal, he has to make them count. He's worked hard tonight, Chris Long. He's been a threat, but it's getting that goal that he wants from Alan Campbell. Could potentially have been offside. Certainly offside in that one.
There's good centre forwards will tell you, pop the ball in the net and then worry if the decision comes. Can he do it here? Chris Long from the edge of the box. Goalkeeper with a save. And the simple goal for Liam Polworth. It's all over for Glentoran, and it's harsh on the Belfast side. But they are starting to unravel. And Liam Polworth is the latest player to add his name to the score sheet.
And it almost seems a little bit unfair. They've put so much into the game. They're tired, there's gaps appearing. Chris Long with a wonderful strike. Dale Coling, I wonder could he have got it away from goal. When he puts it up in the air, he just encourages Liam Polworth to come in and head it in. 3-0 after 75 minutes. Probably not a fair reflection of how the game was going, Paul, up until the sending off. I just think Dale Coling has to do a little bit better. He has to get it away from goal. You can't keep it alive. I don't think, as I say, 3-0, a little bit harsh on the Glentoran players that put so much into this game. And those moments where they're the big opportunities, the goal-scoring opportunities, they certainly come back to haunt them.
Well, every picture tells a story, and the scoreboard across to our right-hand side says MOT 3, GLE 0. And while a picture might tell a story, it doesn't give you the context, and anybody just joining us here on Premier Sports would not have got the narrative. Well, O'Donnell is yellow carded.
Yeah, it's been a tough lesson tonight for the Glentoran players. When you play against good opposition, you have to be clinical. You have to make sure you take those opportunities when they come along. They've had numerous opportunities to do that, and unfortunately they've been punished for them.
Well, Motherwell score 3 in Europe for the first time. Elsland, Murphy, Sutton and Page, the goal scorers, back in 2010, as that is played in a little bit too deep, but it is cut back. Chance for Gallagher to play it back.
I think no doubt Mick McDermott will look back on that red card incident. It did change the whole dynamic of the game. It put his side in the back foot.
Seedorf on to Polworth. Polworth lifts it in. Campbell thought that was going to fall his way. And Campbell gathers once more. On to Gallagher. The whole tempo of the game has changed as Polwarth sends it through onto Campbell. Motherwell eager to come forward, try to add to this lead. Chris Long. Long wants it back again. He has it back again. Inside onto Campbell. Good save, and Tony Watt will help himself. So Tony Watt adds Glentoran to the list of European teams who scored against, Barcelona being the other. Motherwell 4, Glentoran 0. Delight for the Scots and despair for the team from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, they look a little bit despondent. They're tired. They've put a lot of effort into this game, Glentoran, but the spaces are appearing. Chris Long's looking energetic. It's another assist for him down that right-hand side. Tony Watt will struggle to score an easier goal the rest of the season, having to tap it in from close range. But Stephen Robinson won't care. The side have had a really tough start to the season, haven't managed to score goals. But once they come, they start to come in 3s and 4s, so he'll be pleased. But Mick McDermott will be wondering, what if?
You saw Chris Gallagher making his way to the stand here at Fir Park. Kieran O'Connor, 24-year-old attacking midfield player, back in football once more. Well, it was 0-0 for a long time. 57 minutes the breakthrough, 78 minutes it's 4-0. And how a game can change. McLean Long.
And you look at the two central defenders we spoke about at half-time, Keith Cowan and Paddy McLean, haven't really put a foot wrong. You know, they've fought their corner, they've stood up strong. And sometimes you scratch your head and think, how are we 4-0 down?
Chris Long taken down. So
yeah,
you can see Chris Long here. I mean, it was good effort.
Yeah, listen, he's such a strong runner. When he first came in at pre-season, he had missed the pre-season, he wasn't fully fit, but with every game he's getting to where he wants.
Polwarth back on to Sharon Seeroff. McDonough trying to bring it away. 10 minutes to play, Motherwell against Glentoran. And Glentoran's 100th European match will end in disappointment. Of course, the double frustration for Glentoran is the season likely not to start till October. A long time to sit and think about it.
Yeah, I think it's the 17th of October it's penciled in for, Paul. Potentially the County Antrim shade before it, but there you go, Tony Watt. Keith Cowan really unlucky. Comes off Coling, hits Keith Cowan right into the path of Tony Watt. Remembered for that goal against Barcelona. I'm not too sure many people will remember that one tonight.
Well, the Motherwell fans here in spirit and in cardboard cutout form. There's a test event tomorrow in Scotland to allow fans back into the National Rugby Stadium. We hope that goes well so we can start to see fans getting back in to watch this game.
81 minutes on the clock. Third and final change of the evening for Motherwell. Player leaving the field, number 33.
So Harry Robinson will come on for his European debut. He'll replace Stephen O'Donnell. And Harry Robinson, of course, his dad is in the dugout. Northern Ireland under 21 player comes on.
Harry Robinson.
Stephen O'Donnell has exited the field on the other side. You don't have to come across anymore. Forward by O'Connor. In terms of a European tie, 4 goals, a red card, plenty of chances.
I don't think Motherwell will care one little bit. You think of the prestige first and foremost, Paul, of getting through this round. The prize money for getting through, then the participation money in the next round as well. So you have to say it's been a good day financially for this football club. Selling David Turnbull for I'm not too sure the fee has been released, but I have to say I believe it's a very good figure, very close to what it was when he joined. Almost joined 14 months ago. Qualification in Europa League. Another home draw, maybe with some home fans in September would be what they're all looking for.
17th of September, we'd play again the following week should they get through. Playoffs are on the 1st of October and the group stages on the 22nd. Well, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So Glentoran, who came here with hopes, a really good first half. And it's perhaps representative of Northern Ireland's side. They're now at number 40 in the European rankings. That's up from 52 just 2 years ago in 2018. Linfield, Coleraine and Glens themselves have all won games this season. And given the fact that in a 4-year spell, Northern Ireland side's just won 6 of 42, they will have 4 teams in Europe next term. Motherwell continuing to press. Cooling with the punch.
You know, even though it is 4-0, Mick McDermott's players can take so much from this, get into their domestic season next year. We will really believe they have a chance of winning the league title. Linfield have been dominant over the last couple of years. Crusaders have had a little nibble as well. But certainly, with a strong Cliftonville, strong Crusaders, a strong Larne, Ballymena United pushed Glentoran all the way in the Irish Cup final. It's going to be competition for trophies next year, but they can take heart from tonight.
Chris Long has been creator. Going to get on the score sheet himself. Plays it inside onto Seedorf. Seedorf back onto Long. Waiting at the edge of the box is O'Hara. And that took a deflection. It's going to be a corner kick. So that's what's ahead for Glentoran. In terms of Motherwell, you can just see the relaxation on the players' faces. This can be seen as a breakthrough for them.
Well, it has to be seen as a breakthrough. It is slightly easier when the opposition are down to 10 men. You can start to rattle the goals up. You've got more time in possession of the ball. Everybody wants to take part in the game. But I suppose the bigger test for them is on Sunday. They're off to Celtic Park to face, I'd imagine, a frustrated Celtic side.
Motherwell looking for a fifth. O'Hara out wide. Gallagher. Neatly done by Watt. Comes back on to Lammy. Ricky Lammy rattles the crossbar. In his 249th senior appearance, he's scored 7 times across various competitions and came close there to breaking his duck for Motherwell.
I thought it was in, if I'm honest. We were sitting right behind it. Just as it left his foot, Dale Coling stretching back. It had beat him. Unfortunately for him, it hit the crossbar. It's all about composure when the ball comes back to him. Doesn't need to put any pace on it. Just trying to guide it into the roof of the net. So close.
Played through by Marin, but again, it's been difficult in the last 10-15 minutes for Robbie McDade. He's tried to make the runs, he's tried to make himself available. He hasn't given up. Trevor Carson brings himself forward, the man from Downpatrick.
Well, as soon as they went to 10 men, it was all about getting that first goal for Motherwell. It was all about trying to release the pressure, because the longer it goes at 0-0, the more nervous you can get, Paul. So getting the first goal, getting the second goal probably takes the tie away from Glentoran, and then they can relax. The body language of the Glentoran players, the shoulders go down. You know it's a long way back. You know it's a huge ask. You'd say they haven't played as many games recently as what Motherwell have. But on the cold light of day, when you analyse it, 11v11, there was nothing between the sides, and that's where Glentoran can take their comfort.
Tony Watt. That's a decent ball in and a glancing header, and there is the goal that Chris Long has been desiring since the start of the season. Tony Watt sets him up. Chris Long with a header just guided it past the goalkeeper. Motherwell hit Glentoran for 5. Motherwell 5, Glentoran 0.
And I think he deserves that goal. Chris Long has been involved, certainly in 2 or 3 of the other ones. The selfish running, He's been a little bit unlucky. He had a snapshot in the first half, but it's a good header. The pace is all on the ball. There's a bit of grease in the ball. He just needs to glance the ball into the far corner, and he does so. This time Paddy McLean, he just allows him to peel off, but it's been a tough second half for the Glens. Down to 10 men, chasing shadows at times.
Well, Motherwell have done something tonight they didn't do last season. Let's find the back of the net 5 times in a game. As the ball gets sent long once more.
I just got to look back, Paul, and think, but 15 minutes into this game, if you told me somebody would be leading 5-0 with 3 or 4 minutes to go, I wouldn't have believed you. So it just shows how crucial that sending off was. People may try and defend it, may be frustrated, but when you're on a yellow card, you have to go back to it. You can't go lunging in, trying to win the ball. You're probably not going to win, and he's put his side in the back foot.
Yeah, it's the moment they changed the game. Little doubt about that. Motherwell heading more than 3 goals in a European tie for the first time since Flamutari, and only for the 3rd time in their history scoring more than 4 in a European game. Bevis Mugabe comes off the end of that. You played in that 8-1 game against Flamutari.
It was a strange game. We lost 1-0 out in Albania. We travelled for hours and hours on buses and coaches. It was about 90 degrees. We didn't think we'd win 8-1 in the second leg, so there was possible suggestions of interference from the opposition. I don't know, but I couldn't imagine we would score 8 goals, but we did.
Into the middle it goes. Ball knocked away. No way through for O'Connor. But he gets on the end of the ball again. O'Connor trying to get past Polworth. O'Connor's done really well. Goes down, penalty! And Glentoran will get the chance to get on the score sheet, and running to get the ball is Robbie McDade.
I've got to say, Kieran O'Connor again, since he's come on the pitch, has been good. I think it's the manager's son, Harry, who gives the penalty away. I'm sure his dad will chap his bedroom doors tonight and ask him what he's doing. But it is a penalty. Kieran O'Connor very strong. Robbie McDade a chance of 2-2 in Europe.
Well, Trevor Carson was looking to become a goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet in Europe for Motherwell. It's a short list, and he's not going to be added to it. It's a perfectly taken penalty. 4 goals in 4 games for Robbie McDade, and Glentoran get on the score sheet. It's consolation, but it is deserved.
It absolutely is. You know, Robbie's had to play on the right hand side, he's had to play on the left hand side after the sending off, but full of confidence, puts enough pace and power in that penalty kick to get it past Trevor Carson. That will be the only blot in the copybook tonight. Could he have got a clean sheet? Goalkeepers always want clean sheets, but Robbie McDade just adds to his tally.
Well, it's sparse consolation, but it is some consolation, if nothing else. Robinson battling for the ball. Bigramana slow to get back up, but he is back on his feet. So Motherwell, who have endured a long time without a win in European competition, without a win in the last 5. The last 10 European matches they were without a win. But they're going to change that tonight. It's a winning European start for the Northern Ireland manager, Stephen Robinson. Looking for a 6. Here's Long. Off to Campbell. Back on to Polworth. Decent effort, goalkeeper. Was always behind it. And slow back to his feet.
And they've been back a very long time, Glentoran. You know, they had to prepare for the Irish Cup semi-final and final in July. I'm sure the manager looked at giving them potentially a week or so off just to recover, get their heads together again, because it's been a busy schedule for them. They've had to be dedicated in what they're doing. They got the rewards by winning the Cup. They got the rewards by beating Torshavn, coming here to Motherwell tonight. And as I said earlier, the cold light of day, when they look back at it tomorrow, when it was 10 against 10, they can certainly be proud of their performance. think about.
All the way back to Carson. Well, they have made a little bit of history. They've scored in Scotland for the first time. Drew a blank against Partick Thistle, Rangers and Dundee United. And Robbie McDade joining Johnny Jameson as a player who scored against the Scottish club. He was the last person to do so for Glentoran back in the UEFA Cup when they lost at home to Dundee United.
Well, I'm sure that Glenn Mem will tell you there was two Johnny Jamesons that played for Glentoran, and I tell you what, they were both good players. So I'm not too sure which one it was.
Here's Tony Watt, no way through. Solid tackle by Cowan, won the ball. Referee is going to yellow card him. Feels a little hard done by for that. Thought he was going to get away with it.
Yeah, UEFA referees in European club competition don't let an awful lot go. Any kind of tackle, any kind of physical contact, they're right on the whistle. Maybe slightly reckless from Keith Cowan, who actually got the yellow card.
So the two 32s together, but it was the man in green who earned the look of the yellow. It's all over here at Fir Park. It was 0-0 at half-time, but the change came with the sending off of Shannon Clucas. Picked up a yellow card in the first half and then came through on Stephen O'Donnell in the second half, and that was enough to tip the balance. Callum Lang got the goal that separated the sides, and from then on Motherwell just continued to add. There was a late consolation from the penalty spot for the visitors, who scored in Scotland for the first time, and Robbie McDade the man who did so. But in the end it was a comprehensive win for Motherwell. The scoreline will tell you one story, the narrative of the match a very different one indeed. But Motherwell progressed from the first qualifying round of the Europa League. They will play again in September. They've defeated Glentoran by 5-1. So plenty of goals, Stephen, but the sending off certainly allowed the space to open up.
Well, it's all about getting that breakthrough then. When you've got the numerical advantage, you want to make use of it. You want to make use of it as quick as you possibly can. And Callum Lang, he probably got better in the game as it went on, managed to get that first goal. But you've got to say, this strike from Stephen O'Donnell, he got time to measure it up, seized up his opportunity and absolutely rifled it in. And this was the moment probably when the tie was away from Glentoran.
Yeah, pick of the bunch in terms of finishes, Stephen O'Donnell. It really was a cracking drive. And the goalkeeper, well, on another day McLean might get his head on that and send it away, but it wasn't to be. And it was uphill all the way for Glentoran. It really was a thing of beauty, and one that Stephen O'Donnell will remember for a while. The smile saying it all. This was an unfortunate one. The goalkeeper, you would hope, would have just either put it up or to the side, but Liam Polworth, you've still got to be alert to get the finish.
Yeah, well, at this stage Motherwell were on the front foot, feeling good about themselves, and Dale Coling, you can tell by his reaction, he knows he should have done a little bit better, but you know, there was gaps appearing in that Glentoran back line. Motherwell were on the front foot, feeling good about themselves, and Liam Polworth, that's what you get from gambling from midfield. Chris Long again involved, Alan Campbell and Keith Cowan really unlucky with a ricochet that bounces to Tony Watt, who gets a simple tap in.
Tony Watt scoring for the first time this season off the bench for the 5th time. Strikers love goals, and he'll enjoy that no matter the fact it was a simple tap in. He will take it, a little bit of bagatelle, and then Tony Watt with the finish. I think Chris Long has worked hard all night. He's not the best of luck all season, but he'll take that.
I think he was looking back to his best tonight. He struggled for fitness in the early part of the season. He gets his goal, it's well deserved. He's done a lot of hard work for the team, so that'll please him. Strikers always want to score goals, that's what they look at. And he'll hope that can kickstart his season, never mind the club's.
Yeah, last season's top goal scorer, getting on the score sheet for Motherwell's 5th. And well, there was to be a little bit of consolation, and the problem came from Robinson, and Robinson taking down O'Connor. You could see Robbie McDade immediately wanted the ball, and Glentoran scored for the first time in European football on Scottish soil, and it was a good penalty in the end. It's been a night where at half time we never imagined we'd get 6 goals in the second half, but they were to come. The sending off, the turning point. Motherwell then turned the screw. Motherwell go through to the Europa League round 2 qualifying. They've won by 5 goals to 1 from all of us here at Fir Park. Good night.